All right. So, Tyler, it's been a little while, but for this episode, we have $1 million spent, 45 votes have been cast. Politicians have been redrawing their own district lines again in Virginia, and New Jersey is preparing for the biggest sporting events in the world. And, this really quote, a great New Yorker, I definitely would say we didn't start the fire this time.
Little Billy Joel.
Yeah. It feels like anymore a lot of our just whenever we talk or just talk with our friends in general, it's like the dumpster fire. And I feel like that is exactly how the world is sometimes. The dumpster fire just keeps growing and growing. And maybe one day it'll stop for our generation, but maybe we'll just have to, put on some Billy Joel and listen to We Didn't Start the Fire all day long.
Yeah, it feels like every time the fire seems to be dimming, another couple gallons of gasoline just gets dosed all over it.
Yeah,
and then we're back,
exactly.
In a worse spot than we were.
No, pretty much. I mean, hey, you being a firefighter, you'd know that very firsthand.
Yeah, absolutely. I can attest to it.
So, it's certainly something that's going crazy. I mean, all over the news this week, whether it's, national, especially national news now. This week we've been seeing a lot about the Virginia redistricting because that was earlier this week. And, it is the midterm election, this is the real temperature gauge on who and whether or not, the American people feel that the Republican Party is doing a good job or not. So, we'll see. I mean, it's the midterms. States are now having redistricting wars. I don't know if we've really ever seen that necessarily in our country's history, but not that I can remember, at least.
No, especially, obviously they're based on the census every 10 years, and most states redistrict in 2022. But now we're seeing in 2025 and 2026, I think 7 states already passed redistricting maps.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the big ones were Texas and California, where you saw massive shifts in the number of districts. Texas obviously netting more Republican districts, and then you look at California netting more Democratic districts. Then a few where there was, a one party change or 2 party seat changes like Missouri, Utah. But the Virginia map, this one's baffling to me because you see a state that Harris won by around 5-6 points.
Yeah.
And now Republicans have something like around 15% representation.
Yeah. Yeah. Normally my counter argument to that would be like, oh yeah, Spangenberg won it by like double digits, but okay, that's fine. But then you look at this redistricting vote, I mean, it's within 2%. So is that really, it's like, you can't really say that last year's election was necessarily, not, I mean, it definitely obviously was representative of the people, but, I do think that looking to that national number of 5 to 10% is certainly within, what the actual electorate kind of looks like right now. For all the listeners that don't know, Virginia has an independent maps are drawn by a bipartisan redistricting commission. And this system is pretty much meant to reduce gerrymandering. The previous map, I would definitely say, wasn't super gerrymandered. There were 6 Democrats, 5 Republicans. There were a few swing districts in there as well. So looking at that, it's pretty fair. You have at the point you had a Republican majority in the House and the Senate, and you had a Republican governor, but they weren't necessarily super redrawing them to be like super gerrymandered to where it's like, oh yeah, Republicans now have majority of House seats in Virginia. But once the Democrats went over their trifecta this past year, it seems like they went the opposite way on that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, Youngkin was in there for 4 years. My understanding is I don't think they made a change.
No.
Because, I mean, the map itself, in my eyes, I thought it was a very fair map. It's not like Virginia is a 10-point swing in terms of, in presidential years. Usually it's been around that 5 to 7 mark. Some years go as high as 9%. But to me, it's a little ridiculous, especially considering the 52-48 vote to pass it. It's not like it was a landslide like it was in 2025. So I don't know if unfortunately, it seems like this is the norm, but I don't think it's the direction our nation should be going in.
No, exactly. And the real question is it fair to draw a map where you go from having, 6 Democrats and 5 Republicans to now having 10 Democrats and 1 Republican? there are lots of one of the maps. It looks like a lobster, and it goes from Arlington all the way out down towards Richmond, and it comes back out into a couple different areas. But it's shaped like a lobster, and you're looking at it, and you're like, what do those two have in common at the end of the day? The nothing, and that's really what it is. But you look at it and you look at the map, and I know land doesn't vote, but you look at the map and it's red, but then you see this blue little dot in the Nova area, and it's like, well, that there's a bunch of precincts there, and that number of people there is going to outnumber people in the red areas. And our members of Congress are supposed to be representative of us as people. New Jersey, it's always the exception in my opinion. We have super dense state. You have to combine the rural with the urban and suburban, and we're like the third smallest state in the country anyhow. Virginia's not. You can draw, as we saw in the previous map, you can draw blocky square districts that are compact, that have good representation of people and who they are. Are those members that are going to be representing these people from Northern Virginia, are they really going to have what's best in interest to a farmer that's 3.5 hours, 4 hours away from where their congressional members' office is? I don't think so. And I think that this is not really a fair thing to do at the end of the day. I mean, gerrymandering is something that Americans have done since the 1800s, but is it really fair? I don't think so.
Well, it's funny too, and I know we were talking about this before the recording, but the governor too, Spamberger, she was against the whole idea of gerrymandering, redistricting, and then she goes ahead and does it because it works in her party's favor. I mean, it's the classic rule for me, not for thee. And we see that often in a lot of these states who sat there against the Texas gerrymandering, and then they went ahead and were in full support of the California and obviously the Virginia as well. I mean, we're going to start seeing more states too, and I know Florida is discussing it, and there are a few other states. I believe Mississippi, Louisiana. I think they're discussing it as well, pending a few Supreme Court cases. So, I mean, I think we just opened up Pandora's box.
Well, you just said it right there. That Supreme Court case, I think it's called Calais. And that's comes from Louisiana. That's going to be key for the ruling on that. However, the Supreme Court rules on that case is going to determine whether or not that states have to have minority majority representation in some of their districts. Now, you look at a state like New Jersey, we're extremely, that we have extremely diverse in that regard. You're going to have at least 1 to 2 districts that are minority majority. You don't have to draw them to be like, you don't have to look like crabs or look like, the letters like you see in Illinois. You can draw them pretty compact, and it's not terrible. But you do get those other states like Louisiana. You look at Louisiana, it's red, it's like a bunch of red districts, but then there's a giant there's a giant line going through it, and it's 2 different districts, and it's drawn to be, African American majority districts. But I get it, but is it really representative of those people necessarily? You're just drawing squiggly lines on this map. I like to draw maps, but drawing the squiggly lines is weird a lot of times, whereas you can just represent, you can pick someone to represent those areas. And if you got rid of all of those, well, you would definitely see, I don't know the exact number of seats you'd pick up. However, you could probably pick up to 5 to 6 in the South alone, because you're going to have the suburbs of Atlanta. You'll have those 1 district in Mississippi, those 2 districts in Alabama. You have that 2 districts in Louisiana. You probably will have 1 or 2 districts in Texas. You could, in theory, run around. Tennessee, same thing. There's one Democrat in Tennessee. They represent Memphis. You can get rid of that district if you really wanted to. Arkansas, I don't know. Arkansas is a little different, but they used to have one, and so it's, like you said, Missouri can redo theirs again. The dominoes have begun to fall, and we'll see where it goes with that. New Jersey, on the other hand, we constitutionally can't do anything. So it's in our constitution, we have to redistrict every 10 years. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. There's no midterm redistricting. There's no drawing whatsoever. So we're going to be fine in that regard. And I mean, I've drawn maps of New Jersey where we've had 5 Republicans and 7 Democrats. I've drawn it to where it's 6-6 and there's 1 swing district. Our map is gerrymandered. If you've ever seen CD7, Congressman Tom Kane's, it's we can pop one up right here. It goes from Linden Rawway out to us. You're in it,
Yeah.
like, and you what's it take you, like 2 hours to get to Linden and Rawway, right? Like,
With traffic, yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
I was told because it's shaped like an L, laying on its back, that it's an hour and a half to go from the top to the bottom. It's an hour and a half to go from the end to the end, without traffic. Just following like interstate highways, by the way, 78 is what
Yeah.
they follow to go hour and a half to go this way. So, is that really representative of the people? I don't think so. I don't think the people that live in Rahway and Linden have the same, they don't have the same priorities that a dairy farmer in Sussex County or Warren County would have.
No, I
You
agree, and
know,
it's different. I mean, you go to different states, an hour and a half is a reasonable drive, but a state of New Jersey, with how small we are,
yeah,
that's
it's worlds. It's
wow.
worlds different.
It is. It's a wild thought to see. I mean, especially, I mean, CD7 is definitely the weirdest gerrymander we have. Even CD6 is a little interesting too, with the way it
Well,
loops around Sandy Hook.
yeah, that it goes from Asbury Park Long Branch all the way up to actually Neptune. I think it cuts in. It goes up to Woodbridge. What does Woodbridge have to do with Asbury Park? Like, I mean, at least that's semi close, but it's the shore versus like Central Jersey at its definition. Like,
Yeah.
Rutgers is in the same congressional district that Asbury Park is. What does that tell you?
Yeah.
And so, New Jersey is not going to change anything. New York could, but I don't think that they will, especially with their, what's coming up. They have a governor's race and they have a couple different things coming up in this year as well. So I don't think it will go anywhere. So really the question is, I think, going back to the Virginia on this, and I do want to read on for everyone, like, the question on the ballot. It's, shall the Constitution of Virginia be amended to allow the General Assembly to establish new congressional districts before the next decennial, meaning next decade census, in order to ensure fair and effective representation with such authority expiring after 2030? I don't know if people saw the maps is the thing. I don't think that they thought, oh yeah, we can draw fair representation. I would vote for that, just not knowing anything. Yeah, I want fair representation. I don't think those maps are fair. Drawing, putting it up here in the screen, we can see that, the maps aren't fair, and they're all stemming from Northern Virginia.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I know there was a lawsuit going on now, and I believe it's going to be up with the Virginia Supreme Court. But the wording on the ballot, I don't think was accurate to what was actually described in the new map. Just as you said too, I mean, it doesn't seem like it's a fair representation, because I think it's Virginia 9 now is the only red district, and that really covers part of the Appalachia region, when before you had 2 or 3 seats that sort of helped cover the region, because it goes all the way from Southern Virginia down to the northern side across the Kentucky and the West Virginia border. So I don't think one district there is necessarily fair according to the ballot measure.
Yeah, no, certainly. And I mean, culture is probably the same, but other than that, it's probably not the same exactly. So, yeah. I mean, continuing on to the dumpster fire that is the political news anymore. On this past Tuesday, that Newark School District had their spring school board elections, and I guess the best way to put it is they spent $1 million for 45 votes. And no, that's not a typo. The Newark School Board District allowed for 16 and 17-year-olds to be able to vote in this past school board election as part of a pilot program. And they had a 3% voter turnout for non-adults, which means that they had 45 people show up to vote. And they spent $1 million on this. Tyler, what could you do with $1 million, especially on the town level?
Well, for my town, I think $1 million and Stanhope would go a long ways. But just to have I just can't comprehend why this would cost $1 million. Like consultant fees. I don't know. Like,
your guess is as good as mine, honestly. $1 million is a lot, and to have only 45 kids partake in it, I'm that's like $22,000 a head per person. It's why are you spending 22 grand per child to vote when you only have 45 kids vote? Why are we spending $1 million on this to begin with? And legally, there are some. I think there's like 10 towns across the country that have done it, but none of them have really had success. So why are we spending $1 million for only 45 people to vote?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough enough sometimes to get, college kids, the 18 to 25 to get out to vote in regular elections. I mean, it doesn't surprise me that the number is so low, but like the cost being so high. I mean, it's classic state of New Jersey. I mean, they could take money, light it on fire, and no one would be surprised. And this seems to be another prime example of that.
Yeah,
It's a shame, but
just take the money and throw it into the dumpster fire. Let it burn.
yeah, you might as well.
Yeah, it's just I sit here and I look at it. Like I think there was like seven. I think the voter pool was like 1,700 kids, and I believe it dropped a little bit this year because a bunch of them, turned 18 and stuff, so it went down to 1,500. But to have 45 kids just to show up and vote, I think it's insane that you're spending $22,000 per kid on this. I mean, I understand it's a springtime school board election, but why aren't we having the schools have the kids go out and vote? Like,
Vote
why
in
is it?
school too.
Yeah, like why? I understand that not every municipality has. We took the voting machines out of the schools and put them in other areas. However, why aren't teachers saying, "Hey, your juniors, seniors in high school, go vote, go be part of your civic, go be part of your community, go engage and do things." Like it's school board, like it affects you as a student. First off, I mean that alone should be incentive enough. I mean, when I was in high school, our AP US history teacher, Mr. Vanderplatz, he would make us go once a semester to or not, yeah, once a quarter, sorry, not a semester, to our a local elected like meeting, whether it was town council meetings or going to school board meetings. I mainly would go to school board meetings, and it would be me and my fellow students pretty much for the most part. Nobody really, as you know, Tyler. How many people show up to your town council meetings often?
Well, if there's no controversial item on the agenda, it's
Yeah.
usually the same three people,
Okay.
including a
So
former
so
mayor.
so if there's yeah. So if they're not saying you're going to build an ice facility in your downtown area again,
Well, we don't have the space for that, but
yeah,
but yeah, no, like as long as like usually it comes to like new developments or
yeah,
new major changes within the town, that's when we'll get like 40 or 50 people in there.
yeah.
But when outside of that, not many people attend our meetings.
No, and every single school board meeting I've ever been to, they've had 3 people at most.
Mm-hmm.
And unless there was one time that I showed up and it was because the band parents want to show up and thank the school board for helping fund a band trip. And it was just the booster club saying, hey, thank you for doing, your civic duty, which was great.
Yeah.
But, those are the parents that are engaged. Those are the ones that are in the community already. And it's like, if you want to apply that to the school district and to having kids being engaged, why aren't we having teachers and having, the curriculum to have students go and vote? If they could vote, why aren't we encouraging them to? And if we are encouraging them and spending $1 million, why did only 45 of them vote?
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, there's not much of an ROI to that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's you're putting we put a lot of money in the programs in New Jersey, and I don't know if we see the result that I wish we did with our investment.
Yeah, I mean, our Assemblywoman Dawn Fantasia, she's been all over this. I mean, we saw this, and then during the same week, video came out. I believe it was of the superintendent in a white fur coat at his birthday party, dancing up on the stage, in all white. And did you see that video?
Yeah, I saw it. I hope it wasn't paid with tax dollars, but
even if it wasn't, like, what he gets a salary from taxpayers, like this is this is who represents all of the kids in the school, and this is, I'm just like, what?
Yeah, you look like me at junior prom out there.
Oh, you wore all white tux to junior prom there, Tyler?
No, my girlfriend at the time wouldn't let me, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Unfortunately.
Because he didn't want you to be embarrassed.
I would have done the top hat too and everything. I think it would have been a great look, but
I'm surprised he didn't have sparklers or something up on the stage as he came. Did you see he had a gold throne behind him too?
yeah, that was
It's just like, what? Imagine if our superintendents went up there and did that. That would just be like, that's insane.
I couldn't imagine what the Facebook community groups would have said to that.
Honestly, growing up, I feel like in Sussex they would have genuinely came out with pitchforks and torches and shotguns and be like, "Hey, stop this now!"
Yeah, that next school board meeting would be all hands on deck. That'd be fun to watch.
Yeah. Police are working overtime for that one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like, okay, well, we pay these guys are civil servants at the end of the day. You're supposed to, you're there to educate the kids. You're there to be efficient, and I mean, this is just another, check mark in the long, or I guess more so of a dot in the long history of Newark school system, taking money and throwing it into this dumpster fire. I mean, you look at last year, they were spending $500,000 on balloon arches. They did curriculum and the teacher development, for administrators. And do you know where they flew to?
Oh, I heard this one.
They flew to Hawaii for a week, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that's just.
My mom's been a teacher for 30 years. She's never been able to go to Hawaii for teacher development. The best thing she can do is the Sheridan and Parsippany. Yeah. Just like, what? Actually, I think the last one she went to was the Holiday Inn in West Orange, and it's like, okay, what are we spending our money on in New Jersey, and why, and who's spending the money?
Yeah,
be
interesting to see what an audit finds.
But. Yeah, I mean, speaking of audits, going into the World Cup, the federal government gave New Jersey, I think it was $60 million or $40 million. I think it was 60 for the World Cup for infrastructure upgrades. We don't know where it is.
Yeah, and honestly, looking at all the infrastructure projects that have been going on for the past 15 years, I don't think it's going to be done by the time the World Cup comes.
No. I mean, look at it. I know the Gateway Tunnel isn't necessarily connected to the FIFA, the World Cup, but how long has that been? That's been going on since we were in middle school.
Yeah,
they've been talking about that, and it's just like, okay, well, we broke ground on it. Now it's being built, but it's like, is it going to be finished? I don't know. I hope it is, and I hope it's less than a decade too.
Yeah, I mean, for $60 million, we better see some of these potholes filled too.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a staple of New Jersey.
Honestly, it is. We spend the most per mile out of any state in the country, at least as of 2023. And that number, I think Massachusetts we were number 50th in the state. We spent double per mile what the 49th state spent.
That doesn't surprise me.
I'm just like, what are we doing?
Doesn't surprise me at all.
No, it's absolutely insane what we spend our money on, and that's the reason why our budget's $60 billion now, because we're just throwing it. Maybe that's where we're putting the money. We're putting it in the roads physically, and that's why it comes apart.
Yeah,
we just tear up the money, put it in the asphalt, and start sticking it in the road, and we just drive on the money.
Yeah, we just mull over it. Yep, there's Route 3 for you. There's 46. It's just.
I know you've been following this, Tyler. You want to talk about? I know that with all these different, tax hikes, like, what are we looking at?
Yeah, I mean, I know one thing that was proposed was a temporary sales tax. And I believe it's just for the Meadowlands district, so what's going to be around MetLife Stadium. But the increase will go from 6.625% for the sales tax to 9.625% for this district. It'll be from June 12th to July 21st. And also, there's also thrown out a 2.5% hotel occupancy tax and 10% tax on sports gambling. So a lot of new taxes for residents who live in the area. But apparently they can write it off on their taxes for 2026.
Are people going to know that?
Probably not.
I doubt people are going to know that, and unless you're paying an accountant to do something. Most people don't. So it's like, okay, well, you're not going to know that.
Yeah.
I also was told that the hotel occupancy tax actually goes all the way. That's like an entire statewide thing.
Yeah, I think that I know at least the sales tax is the MetLife area, but the
Yeah,
occupancy tax will be the entire state.
yeah, excluding the shore, I think is what it was, which is crazy because we have Crystal Springs out by us. You know,
Yeah.
people aren't driving an hour and a half, 2 hours to go from Hardesty, New Jersey to East Rutherford, let alone in the middle of the summertime.
Well, it's like no one's staying in Salem County to drive up there either, and if they're getting charged with it's just another tax.
Imagine that. Imagine be some poor European or some someone from South America that just wants to come support their country's football, their soccer team. You book a hotel in Salem, New Jersey, and you don't realize it's a 3.5 hour drive up to the Meadowlands.
Yeah, especially if you got to go up the turnpike. Good luck.
Yeah,
Good luck, pal. You'll hit some of those potholes too.
pretty
And
much.
construction.
And construction.
Yeah.
Like, how is this going to affect our? My question is what? How is this going to affect our daily commutes? I think it's like 10% of New Jerseyans use public transportation to get to their jobs. I understand it's the summertime and people are on vacation, but like we still work, you know?
Yeah, I mean, the craziest thing we're discussing this a little bit at our last council meeting before this started, but the NJ Transit is going to charge $150 per person round trip that goes to the stadium. So you're looking at $75 one way, 150 for the round trip. And they're not letting anyone park there, so it's not like you can drive there, which is just it's insane. I mean, $80 bus tickets according to CBS. It's just
Are they going to have like designated spots, I guess, for the buses, and then that's where you can drive your car there? I also heard that the American Dream Mall is charging like an arm and a leg.
yeah, they're
I
charging
think
250
$250
and
to park there.
it's a mile walk from the parking lot to the stadium.
What are they going to do? Go park on the side streets in Rutherford, North Arlington, and be like, "Oh, I can walk across I-95 to get to the stadium."
I feel like I got a better chance walking from Sussex County. I mean,
Yeah,
it's insane. It's insane, and I feel bad for attendees. I mean, you have people from all across the world who are going to be coming to these games. And I don't know if they're ready for the cost.
they're going to be like, "Welcome to New Jersey," and it's like, "Excuse me,"
Yeah.
And one thing I do, Mike and Ganamore does a really good job of this. I also am a little bit ticked off by it. They keep calling it the New York, New Jersey Stadium. I'm sitting here like, guys, it's New Jersey. It's always been New Jersey. It's in New Jersey. It's there. There are multiple towns in between where it is in New York. There's an entire county in between where it is in New York. I'm just like, okay, no, it's in New Jersey. It's insane what we're dealing with here. And then my understanding, the state right now wants to throw a couple tens of millions of dollars. I think it was 30 million that they wanted to use to promote it. And I remember I saw a video of Mike getting up there going, "Really? We're going to promote the World Cup, the largest event outside of the Olympics. We're going to promote it to who? The New Jerseyans who don't watch soccer? Like,
Yeah, or the ones who have to sit in the traffic because of it. It's
it's all fun and games until they like stop the parkway or something like that because the team needs to get to the stadium or something like that because they're running behind."
yeah. All I'm gonna say is if they have to do that on 4th of July weekend, there's gonna be a lot of problems, a lot of backup on the parkway.
Yeah.
And for that, I know you touched base on that earlier. Do they close both lanes or just if they're going northbound?
I mean, if it's a security issue, I would assume they shut the entire thing down. In theory,
Oh boy.
I don't know the full details, but I would assume it's for security for the teams. Think about it like that. Like there are teams that are kind of hotly contested right now. Like there are countries that are hotly contested. Let me rephrase that, which it shouldn't be that way in my opinion because they're not the ones doing things. It's they're there to represent their country in doing sports.
Mm-hmm.
They're a livelihood of what they love, but people are not going to care.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Which is a shame. Exactly. So we'll see where we go with the World Cup in New Jersey, and we'll see what's happening on going forward. And so I think this one shout out before our last, because we'll have our next episode after this. But there's a rally on May 2nd down in Bayville. I know that we're sending a representative down from our host company, Jersey First, for talking about the school funding formula, which is another thing that the state of New Jersey just throws money at and just sets it on fire. I mean, it all stems, from Newark and the city's getting exorbitant amount of money, and suburban and rural districts are getting the short end of the stick, and we'll see where it goes. But there is talks of fixing the funding formula next year in the budget.
Okay, in 2027.
Next year.
Yeah, that's doubtful.
We'll see. They've been talking about this, by the way, since we were born.
25 years ago. Nice.
Yeah. They've been talking about this for 25 years. We should fix that. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks. So, thank God we're no longer in the school system, but you know what? We're getting to the point now where our kids might, depending on how long they take, our kids might have to face this issue too. So,
yeah,
we'll see. And so, thank you everyone for tuning in this week to Bridging the Gap. And we'll see you all on social media. Make sure you guys go follow us on Instagram and TikTok, Bridging the Gap, J1ST. And make sure you share our clips and keep us going. Hopefully we'll see you guys out on the streets real soon too, with this nice weather coming up.
Absolutely.